Ever wondered what powers your daily commute, heats your home, or simply keeps your lights on? If you're like most, you probably don't give it a second thought. But when you pause to consider, you realize that almost every aspect of our lives is fueled by energy. Energy that's traditionally been sourced from fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas. But have you ever considered where these fuels come from or what happens when they're burned? This is where the concept of sustainable fuel enters the picture. Unlike traditional fuels, sustainable fuels are designed to minimize their impact on our planet. They're produced from renewable resources, reducing our dependence on finite and depleting fossil fuels. So, what if we could power our lives in a way that's not just efficient but also kind to our planet? Let's dive into the world of fuel, where we'll explore the traditional and the sustainable. For centuries, mankind has relied on traditional fuels, a statement that echoes through time, tracing the journey of our civilization. As we delve into the annals of history, we find the harnessing of fire as one of the key turning points in human development. Fire, fueled by wood, was our first encounter with traditional fuels. It provided warmth, protection, and a means to cook food. As our societies evolved, so did our sources of energy. We began to harness the power of wind and water, but these were not enough to satiate our growing energy needs. The Industrial Revolution, a pivotal era that shaped the world we live in today, saw the rise of coal as a dominant source of energy. The machines that powered our factories, the trains that connected our cities, the ships that traversed our oceans, all ran on the black gold that is coal. Then came the 20th century, and with it, the age of oil and natural gas. These fossil fuels, buried deep within the Earth's crust, became the lifeblood of our modern civilization. Cars, planes, power plants, heating systems, all these and more run on the power of oil and natural gas. Our world became intertwined with these traditional fuels, shaping our economies, politics, and lives. However, these traditional fuels have a dark side. Burning coal, oil, or natural gas releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, contributing to global warming. Moreover, these resources are finite. We are depleting them at an alarming rate, and it's only a matter of time before they run out. The environmental impact of traditional fuels is a heavy price to pay for the conveniences they offer. They have powered our world, fueled our progress, and shaped our civilization. Yet, they have also left a trail of pollution, environmental degradation, and a looming energy crisis. But as we've come to realize, these fuels are not without their drawbacks. A statement that sets the stage for the next chapter in our energy story. A chapter that looks towards sustainable fuels as the answer to our energy needs and environmental concerns. Enter sustainable fuels, the new players in the energy game. In the quest to power our world, humanity has turned to various sources, from coal to oil, natural gas to nuclear. But as we've come to realize, these traditional fuels are finite, and their use contributes to environmental issues, including climate change. So we find ourselves at a crossroads, needing to find alternatives that can meet our energy needs without compromising the health of our planet. This is where sustainable fuels come into the picture. These are energy sources that are virtually inexhaustible and can be replenished naturally. They come from a variety of sources, including the sun, wind, water, and even organic waste. The common thread? They all harness natural processes to generate energy, minimizing the emission of greenhouse gases. So, how are these sustainable fuels produced? Let's take biofuels, for example. These are derived from organic matter like plant materials or animal waste. The organic matter is converted into fuel through various processes, such as fermentation or gasification. The result is a fuel that can be used in place of traditional fossil fuels, with significantly reduced carbon emissions. Or consider wind energy. Here, large wind turbines capture the kinetic energy of the wind, converting it into electricity. This process, while requiring significant upfront infrastructure, produces no harmful emissions and taps into a resource that is freely available and constantly replenished. The potential of sustainable fuels is tremendous. With advancements in technology, we're finding more efficient ways to harness these energy sources, increasing their viability as alternatives to traditional fuels. Yet, it's not just about finding new energy sources, it's also about changing our perspective on energy consumption, shifting towards a culture of conservation and efficiency. After all, the most sustainable energy is the energy we don't use. Sustainable fuels are offering a promising outlook, but how do they stack up against traditional fuels? The answer to this question can shape the future of our planet. and it's a conversation we all need to be a part of. In the face-off between sustainable and traditional fuels, who comes out on top? It's the question on everyone's lips as we venture into a future where sustainability is no longer a choice but a necessity. Let's start with efficiency. Traditional fuels like coal and oil have for centuries provided us with reliable energy. But at what cost? These fuels are finite, their extraction process is taxing, and their combustion releases harmful pollutants into our atmosphere. On the other hand, sustainable fuels such as solar, wind, and biofuels are endlessly renewable. They harness the power of natural elements and convert them into energy with minimal waste. And while their efficiency may not yet match that of traditional fuels, advancements in technology are closing the gap rapidly. Next, let's talk cost. Historically, traditional fuels have been cheaper. However, this is changing. The cost of renewable energy is falling year on year, thanks to technological innovations and economies of scale. In some parts of the world, it's already cheaper to generate electricity from wind and solar than from coal or gas. Accessibility is another crucial factor. Traditional fuels require complex infrastructure for extraction, refining, and distribution. In contrast, sustainable fuels are often decentralized, making them more accessible to remote communities. Think about it. You can't set up an oil rig in your backyard, but you can install solar panels on your roof. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, is the environmental impact. Traditional fuels contribute significantly to global warming and air pollution. Sustainable fuels, however, have a much lower environmental footprint. They emit fewer greenhouse gases and don't deplete our planet's resources. So, in the battle between sustainable and traditional fuels, it seems the tide is turning in favor of the green alternatives. While there are challenges to overcome, the potential benefits of sustainable fuels far outweigh their drawbacks. The verdict? It's clear that sustainable fuels hold the key to a greener, cleaner future. Why should we care about sustainable fuels? That's the question we're tackling now. Let's start with environmental conservation. Traditional fuels like coal and oil are not only finite resources, but they also contribute significantly to air pollution and climate change. Burning these fuels releases carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that traps heat in our atmosphere and leads to global warming. On the other hand, sustainable fuels, such as biofuels and hydrogen, have a much lower environmental impact. They're produced from renewable resources and emit fewer greenhouse gases. Moving on to economic benefits. The sustainable fuels industry can create jobs and stimulate economic growth. From the cultivation of biofuel crops to the construction of wind turbines for electricity generation, there are numerous opportunities for employment. Moreover, as sustainable fuels become more common, their costs will decrease, making them a competitive alternative to traditional fuels. In fact, in some regions, renewable energy is already cheaper than fossil fuels. And then there's energy security. Relying solely on finite and geographically concentrated resources like oil and gas leaves us vulnerable to supply disruptions and price volatility. Sustainable fuels, derived from abundant and widely available resources such as the sun, wind, and plants, provide a more reliable and stable energy supply. They free us from the political and economic uncertainties that come with traditional fuels. But let's not forget, transitioning to sustainable fuels isn't without challenges. It requires significant investment, technological innovation, and policy support. Yet the benefits far outweigh the costs. By embracing sustainable fuels, we can protect our planet, boost our economy, and ensure our energy security. So why should we care about sustainable fuels? Because they hold the key to a cleaner, more prosperous, and more resilient future. We need to recognize and seize this opportunity. After all, the transition to sustainable fuels is not just a possibility, but a necessity. So, where do we go from here? As we've journeyed through the past and present of fuels, we've seen the undeniable shift from traditional fuels to sustainable ones. This evolution isn't just a technological advancement or a trend, it's a necessity. As stewards of our planet, we have a responsibility to minimize our environmental footprint. Sustainable fuels provide us with an opportunity to do just that. They are our chance to fuel our world without depleting it. Every choice we make, every product we purchase, every vehicle we drive, it all adds up. We can choose to be part of the solution or part of the problem. Remember, adopting sustainable fuels isn't just about saving the environment. It's also about securing a stable, healthier, and more prosperous future for generations to come. The future of fuel isn't a distant reality. It's a present possibility. The future of fuel is sustainable, and the time to embrace it is now.